Польско-советская чрезвычайная комиссия сегодня...
The Polish-Soviet Commission will begin today its investigation of the atrocities committed in Majdanek by the German fascist occupiers, its investigation of the mass murders perpetrated against the peoples of Europe. The Soviet prisoner of war, Petrov, is the first witness to testify. We prisoners called this camp the City of Death. The Germans called it an extermination camp. Thousands of people were sent to this camp each day, and none of them ever returned. All of them went down the same path into the crematorium. Each day, from early in the morning until late at night, those to be killed were selected. But the crematorium wasn't sufficient, so every day there were bonfires in which thousands of corpses were incinerated. The smell was so unbearable that people preferred to hide in the latrines to avoid the stench. We prisoners knew that death awaited us, but there was no possibility of escaping through the fence. We saw and experienced many things in the concentration camp. 4 of my brothers were killed by the Germans. My mother and my father were hanged. Anton Benin was one of 34,000 Dutch Jews from Westerbork who were brought to the Sobibor extermination camp in freight trains. This is the only surviving film documentation of the deportation trains. The Dutch Jews thought they were being relocated for deployment as laborers because they were allowed to bring some of their belongings with them. They traveled in freight cars, men, women, and children, and even babies, for days and weeks, sometimes without food and water. Every one of the 34 trains went to Sobibor. A few were later sent on to Majdanek. The SS doctors Rindfleisch and Blanke performed the selection when the trains arrived at Majdanek.
Ik sta hier voor de prikkeldraad van de bij ons beruchte Duitse concentrationslager.
A Belgian prisoner. I'm standing in front of the infamous German concentration camp. I had to live here for 2 years. They killed millions of people here. They beat us with clubs. We had to work and had nothing to eat.
Hebben ze moeten arbeiden op een weinig brood, bijna niets te eten.
The French prisoner, Majdan Tatarski, was given the number 9724. Passports and identity papers, all that remained of the prisoners, adults and children. At the beginning of 1942, Slovak Jews were deported to Poland with their belongings. 10,000 were sent later to Majdanek, 10,000 to Auschwitz. In 1943, the SS transferred Greek Jews unfit for work from Auschwitz to Majdanek. French Jews were deported from Drancy to Majdanek via Sobibor. On the 15th of July 1942, SS Reichsführer Heinrich Himmler decreed the immediate construction of a camp to hold 5,000 women. The Field 5 at first became a women's concentration camp. In Field 1 of the concentration camp in Majdanek on January 6, 1943, Ernst Kaltenbrunner, head of the security police, ordered the erection of a collection center for children and teenagers.
Diesen Kamin, den Sie hier sehen, sind Tausende und Abertausende von Menschen.
Thousands and thousands of people went up in smoke through the chimney you see here. But they didn't incinerate just political prisoners and opponents, but also Jews, children from the earliest age on up to adolescents, and women. The people of Poland can tell their true story about what they experienced and suffered in this time. Hundreds of Poles in Poland were economically ruined by this system. But that's not all. Many lost their lives. And the last stop for these people was this chimney.
Man hat ihnen sogar ihr Leben genommen. Und auch diese Menschen, auch die Menschen, ihre letzte Station war dieser hohe Kamin hier.
A training film made by the German police showed the SS and Polish policemen in action. The reality was different. The arrest of partisans and resistance fighters, the taking of hundreds and thousands of Polish hostages, and their execution were not filmed, nor was the arrest of Polish intellectuals and Catholic priests. Pater Kolbe sacrificed his life at Auschwitz for other victims, as many an unknown did in Majdanek. There were daily raids on streets and market squares. Alleged black market activities or economic crimes were used as a reason to send Polish farmers to Majdanek. The camp was also an intermediate station in the forced resettlement of the Polish rural population of the Lublin district to make place for German settlers. The Warsaw Ghetto. These pictures were taken before the April 1943 rebellion. The Jews of the ghetto carry the traces of the persecution and privation of the preceding 2 years, especially the children. Many of them became orphans and suffered the most. In the summer of 1942, almost the entire ghetto population is deported to the Treblinka extermination camp. After the heroic uprising of the remaining Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto, the last thousands of men, women, and children were transported from Warsaw to the Lublin district. Many of them were then sent to Majdanek. All of them had to walk the 2 miles from the train station in Lublin to the camp on foot with their belongings. Many were shot when they could not carry on. The Polish soldier Resnik tells how he managed to escape in the final days before liberation. I am of Jewish nationality. In 1939, I was fighting in the war and was taken prisoner by the Germans. After that, I was in 13 camps. At Majdanek, tens of thousands of people were murdered every day. There was no hope that I would be spared. The Germans herded us down the road to Radom. Many people were murdered along the way. That was where I escaped. I have lost my parents. Now I am all alone. Anton Ternis from Trier, 52 years old, married, 6 children, certified accountant and bookkeeper by profession, as an SS company commander, the highest-ranking SS officer captured at Majdanek.
Sie müssen nur auf alle Fragen nur die Wahrheit erzählen.
Jawohl, das bin ich als Offizier schuldig.
Mit welchem
Ternis, first lieutenant and company commander. You must tell the truth in answer to each question. Certainly, that is my duty as an officer. What gas was used to suffocate the people? This cyclone gas here. On what orders were people in this camp exterminated? I think the order came from above. No one here has the power to simply decide that. That is what I assume, you see. Do you think that you, as an SS officer who worked here in the camp, are responsible for these mass murders? No. It is known to us that Frenchmen, Belgians, and Poles were also exterminated. Yes, Jews, I know. I have heard this. So, did the Germans disregard all the rules of warfare in this camp? The people were mostly Jews. They weren't prisoners of war. I am not a sadist. I didn't beat anyone. I never have. I'm not a sadist. I have never been a sadist. I am far too well educated for that. Too well educated. Tell that.
Obersturmführer Ternis.
Obersturmführer Ternis. Do you know Moosfeld? Describe him.
Obersturmführer Ternis, charakterisieren Sie Moosfeld. Kennen Sie ihn?
Jawohl, ich kenne den Moosfeld persönlich. Moosfeld wurde von
Certainly. I know Moosfeld personally. Everyone who talked about him made him out to be a very fanatical and brutal person. His outward appearance was that of a human beast. He had a restless and unsettled manner, can't look you in the eye. A restless manner, you know, not firm, changeable.
Unstet, nicht wahr? Ein unstetes Wesen. Verstehen Sie? Unstetes Wesen. Nicht fest, nicht wahr? Bewegt.
Theodor Schöllen from Geldern, 42 years old, 5 children, as an SS corporal in Majdanek, responsible for the store of personal
Name
effects.
und Vorname.
Your family name and your given name.
Ihr Bürger,
Schöllen, Theo. Your rank,
wann wurden
corporal.
Sie Mitglied
When did you
der
become a member of the Nazi
Partei?
Party? In 1937, when I was called up. When did you become an SS soldier? In 1937.
Erzählen Sie bitte
At the press
ausführlich
conference
Ihren
later,
Fall.
Schöllen tells that all orders came from Berlin. He says that he was shocked at first when he saw the gas chamber and the crematorium, particularly since 137 children were killed there one day. And he thought of his own children. But, as he says, he soon became used to it. It is impossible for the interpreter to translate the German words of extermination, such as final solution, special treatment, selection, gassing, lethal injection, Blockelde, and Capo. Deutschland über alles. This is the inscription that greets the Allied war correspondents at the former concentration camp on August 26, 1944. The journalists from England and the United States had read the disturbing reports in Pravda and other Soviet newspapers on the 10th and 12th of August. These were written by Boris Gorbatov and Konstantin Simonov, the lyricist, dramatist, and now war correspondent, who had been in Lublin for 5 days at the beginning of August 1944. At the sight of thousands of pairs of shoes, he noted, "This place became a witness to all of the horror that occurred here. It's hard to say how many pairs of shoes there were. Russian combat boots, Polish laced military boots, men's ankle boots, women's shoes, and most important, most horrible of all, tens of thousands of pairs of children's shoes, the shoes of 10, 8, 6, and 1-year-old children."